Hey YouTube, Jeff Jones. I was in Harbor Freight and picked up this little punch set. I happen to need a little smaller diameter than I had. Found this set and 9-piece. I think the whole thing was $10 something. It was like ridiculously cheap. Punches are nice and heavy, made out of good steel. The only problem with them is that the tips are pretty blunt. In other words, if you look at this spot right here, you can see the taper on it is pretty blunt from the cutting edge up to where it should be going through the material. This would be fine if you were you know, cutting holes in maybe gasket material, thin gasket material, or paper, plastic, something like that. You just need to make, if you're punching holes in something thicker like leather, that's definitely, by the time you get through the 3/16 of leather, you're really punching into this heavy, thicker spot right here. So by comparison, this is a CS Osborne punch, and you can see the taper on that at the tip, how that comes down. And so I thought, well, why can't I just make the Harbor Freight ones more like that? So I measured this guy. I just put it on a little protractor here, and of course put that so you can see that comes out about right there. You can get an idea. And that's 5 degrees. I did it on another protractor just to confirm. Again, just laying it on there, getting it roughly. Obviously the where it changes has to be on there. So this one too, not as easy to hold it on there, but it's pretty much 5 degrees. So anyway, I'm going to set the lathe up. Mr. Pete had a lathe, or had a video. Mr. Pete 222 had a video on setting up your feed so it would go in at 5 degrees. And I'm going to move over to the lathe and show you that. Okay, so this is my little Logan lathe. It was my grandfather's, and as I've said in prior video, I really didn't know much about using it, and learned an awful lot from Mr. Pete 222. Anyway, I got this set up, and I wanted to do the 5 degree advancement on the compound holder, and the first thing I noticed is that coming around back is that, so the first thing I noticed is that when I set my compound rest up, it's off the scale. So I was like, wow. What I did was I set it at 90 degrees and on the mark there, and I came around the front of the compound and I just put a little scratch. Okay, so what I did is I came around the front and I just used a scribe and I put a little mark there. You can see it, and I just set it. It might be a little over 5 degrees, but it's compound. So in other words, when you use this crank back here, it's going to always advance forward at 5 degrees to the chuck. So anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get it set up, and we'll run it. Okay, so this is the setup in the lathe, and the punch is in here, and I'm just going to move in. The first thing is that you're going to advance this up to what you're working on, and I like to bring it as far forward with the carriage as possible, so that when this is backed all the way out, we're at the starting point. So bring that up here. I'm going to advance this up to the tool in that area right there. Again, this is set up so it is going to advance at 5 degrees to the lathe. And one of the things you have to be really careful about with this is that because of the wide taper, you can't really take it all at one time. So I like to advance this up, and then I'll move it in here. And you're gonna want to start it at one of the wider parts. Like say if it's touching right there, that would be good. So and then on my little dial indicator, which I have just set up here with a couple of neodymium magnets against my tool holder, compound rest. So I'm going to just set this to 0, and what I found is that you know, if you advance it in about 5 thousandths each time, you're going to get a nice smooth finish. If you go 10 thousandths, you can get the work started, but you probably want to finish up doing 5 thousandths. So anyway, that's it. You're going to turn the lathe on. You know, back out your compound rest to the beginning. Turn your lathe on, and then go ahead and cut it. And then what I'll do is each time I stop, and I will bring the compound rest back after backing it back out, and advance the compound in 5 thousandths, and move it all the way forward till it stops cutting. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and set this up and see if we can't make a little video cutting. Okay, and it's going to be a final pass. And take just a little bit less. 3/1000. Okay, and that's it. I'm going to set back up over at the table real quick and just show you again the comparison, the ones I did and the ones that need to be done. Okay, so I'm back over at the other bench. This is the one I just did, 5 degrees, and then this is the Osborne punch. So you know, obviously little different length there from the tip to the cutout, but that's also a little different size, lift and diameter. So this is a CS Osborne number 12. You can see the name there. This really, I mean, to me, they're kind of the cream of the crop of your leather working tools. Certainly, well, to me they are. Maybe there's better, I don't know. But this punch, I don't know. I'm guessing cost who knows, $10 to $20. So this one, like I said, I got the whole set. This whole set from Harbor Freight, $10. And you know, do they need a little bit of work to make them better? Yeah. If you don't want to punch something thick, use them the way they are. But typically, if you're doing any kind of leather work, if you don't want to make that that hole any bigger than it needs to be. So you know, you can see that if you push that through 3/16 leather, you're making it substantially bigger than the hole that you're trying to make. So anyway, that's it. I think the punch set is nicely made. They're heavy, and I think once they're modified, they're gonna do everything I need them to do. Thanks, YouTube.